One of the things that the ATA is doing is that they are counting on the ignorance of the general populace, and to be honest, they're even counting on the ignorance of their own membership.
Good morning, everybody. We are here at the Chinook podcast. Brad Donovan, hello. Nathan Zekveld, and myself.
Hey there.
And we are delighted to bring this conversation to you. Before we start, let's do some book reviews. Nathan, do you have a book that you're interested in reviewing for this?
I actually did not think about it before I hit the record button. So maybe you guys should go first, and then I might have something to say.
Well, we might not wind up with 3 book reviews.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
Oh, there we go. You know, we if we repeat ourselves on book reviews, we're not like machines we're not book reading machines, or at least I'm not. Well, over the course of my life, I've read quite a lot of books, but to be able to commend them to you and to talk about them sensibly, sometimes I've forgotten.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything, Brad?
Oh, of course. Because unlike Pastor Nathan, I may not have come completely prepared, but I came somewhat prepared. An interesting book, Civilization by Neil Ferguson.
Oh, yeah, Neil Ferguson.
Neil Ferguson's an interesting cat. He's bullish on China, and I don't think he should be, but some of his historical analysis is really good. One of the things that he convinced me of in that book is that Christianity really is good for the world. And he's not a Christian.
Interesting.
Yeah, that he wanted to ask the question, why was the West better than the rest?
Right.
Why in 1500 is China the superpower, and in 1900 Britain is?
That's a good question.
It's a very good question, and Christianity has a lot to do with modern civilization. I think you could make the case from his book that what he's arguing is that Christianity created modern civilization. And in many ways, I think that would be a correct argument. He doesn't explicitly make that argument. Tom Holland makes that argument, I think, more.
In his book, Dominion.
Yeah. Which is a similar-ish book. But yeah, anyway, Neil Ferguson, Civilization, check it out.
Awesome. I'm going to recommend a book that I think I've probably recommended before, or if I haven't, one of you probably did. This is Doug Wilson's novel called Ride, Sally, Ride. This was such a fantastic, rollicking tale.
It's a gnarly book.
So good. There's so many people who have just absolutely refused to pick it up because, it's about sex. It's about, it says here, Ride, Sally, I'm looking at the cover, Ride, Sally, Ride, Sex Rules in brackets, a novel. Sex Rules. And they look at that and they say, he's a pervert. He's talking about perversity stuff. Well, you can read that in at least 2 different ways. Is he talking about the rules that people have about sex? Or is he talking about like the way things work in the world?
Yep. It's a marvelous send-up of the sex crazy crowd.
Yes. This is a really, really well done novel, and I commend it to you wholeheartedly. It came out from Canon Press in, I think, probably 2018. Let me look. Just digging in. 2020.
He mocks evil in there.
Yes, he does.
And yes, Christian, you're allowed to mock evil.
Yes, you are.
And the funny thing is it's kind of prophetic.
It is very much prophetic.
Because that book, I mean, it comes out in 2020, but it's 2025.
Right.
And I can 100%
and it's set
see that legal case.
It's playing out in real time.
It's his novel is set in the year 2034. I think that's the case.
He could have said that,
and he could have said it earlier.
Yeah,
He even made a joke about Alberta separating from Canada or something like that, right?
yeah. It's a crazy book.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I do have something quickly to reference. I don't have a thorough review here, but if you are looking for Bible commentators, I would say that Dale Ralph Davis is an incredible commentator. And the book that I just pulled up in front of me here on my Kindle is entitled Slogging Along in the Paths of Righteousness. It's his commentary on Psalms 13 to 24. I would say, like, alongside especially Peter Lightheart or somebody like that, Dale Ralph Davis is a very mature, reformed exegete of Scripture. He applies things well. So if you're a seminary student or if you're a pastor, you should be reading Dale Ralph Davis. Even if you're just an average Joe Christian, I think it's good to be reading biblical commentators. So anyway, I think we're going to talk with Chris Cousine today.
That was our plan,
Pastor
right?
Chris Cousine.
Pastor Chris Cousine. He pastors the sister church of ours down in Cochrane, Alberta.
And we're going to be talking with him about hunting. And we're also, I think, going to ask him about who he is and just a little bit about his local church setting. And then I think Brad also wanted to talk with him about the ATA.
This might be a bit of a grab bag.
Which I've not told him about that yet.
Oh.
But I'm sure he'll be happy to talk about the ATA.
He's been writing about it a lot.
Chris Cousine appears to me to be Brad in a different location. So.
Okay, I'm going to hit the call button here.
That's funny. Doth it ring?
Oh, sorry. I am going to have to clip that. My Bluetooth is not connected for some reason.
Do I need to hit a button on that?
When I have a Bluetooth, I
think it's
brush.
okay. Chris is probably wondering why I hung up.
Yeah. Just kidding.
Hello.
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, so we got Brad and Jamie here as well.
Hi, Chris.
Hello, Brad. Hello, Jamie.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Doing well, man.
So anyway, we're inviting you onto our podcast today. I think I already mentioned a couple things to you. We're going to ask you a little bit about hunting, a Christian ethic of hunting. We're going to ask you a little bit about your church down in Cochrane, and then Brad actually came up with a new topic, and he also wants to, or we also want to talk to you a little bit about the ATA, if you're okay with that.
Sure.
Okay.
It's not like you haven't thought about that thing. So.
Yeah.
But
I might have a thought or two. Yeah.
Okay. But first of all, I want to ask you who you are, just for our listeners.
Yeah, give us a little bit of a background of Chris Cousine. Where did you come from? How did you get here to where you are? You're pastoring a CREC congregation in Cochrane. How did you get from where you came from to where you are?
Where'd you go?
Well, before I do any of that, the first thing I want to ask you guys is, what episode is this?
I think it'll be like 84 or 85 or something like that.
It took 85 for me to get on.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
Like, I know I'm low on the totem pole, guys, but
yeah.
this is I don't know if it's humbling or humiliating.
Come on, Chris. You're our new favorite.
The question is, who should be humiliated, you or us?
Yeah, well, that is the question. Okay, how do I answer that first question? Pastor Chris Cousine, pastor of Covenant Presbyterian Church down in Cochrane. I'm also a full-time firefighter for a large municipality in my region. What else can I say?
Are you married?
I am married. I have a wife and 3 sons and 1 grandson.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah. How did I get here? Lord saved me at age 33. And then from there started attending church and going to seminary. here in Cochrane. Transferred after a little, let's call it a disagreement with one of my professors. I ended up transferring to RTS, where I attended there for a couple of years. All the while, I was a North American Mission Board church planting pastor under the Southern Baptist there in Cochrane. I was church planting pastor of Hill Country Reformed Baptist Church, and that was a number of years ago, back when being a Reformed Baptist was not cool in Canada. We were the redheaded stepchildren of the Southern Baptists who pretty much disowned us immediately. And then after the Lord closed our church after a 5-year run, I wandered in the desert for 5 years, and then COVID happened, and by then I was a thorough Presbyterian, and so me and my co-elder Kevin planted Covenant Presbyterian, and then we. The idea, it was funny because when we were we knew we were both Presbyterians. And so when we asked around to the different Presbyterian denominations about what's the best way to go about church planting, they all unanimously said, plant your church and then find a home, which is very un-Presbyterian-like. I kind of thought that was funny.
Yeah.
So we did that. And then really the only option that we had, because both Kevin and I have the similar temperament. We're both a couple of scrappers. That the CREC was really the only option that we kind of thought, the only denomination that's going to put up with us is the CREC. So we approached them. They graciously allowed us to be part of their denomination, and the rest, as they say, is history. So
awesome. Well, I'll ask you a little bit more about your church later, but first of all, we had a question that arose from one of our listeners about whether or not hunting is ethical. And I know that you're a hunter, and you're a very ethical hunter, because Chris Cousine would be a very ethical hunter.
Yes. He's a mighty hunter among men.
And yes. I'm wondering what your theology of hunting is. So maybe just start to give a biblical case for why Christians should hunt, or at least are permitted to hunt.
Well, when you first told me that you were wanting me to come on to answer this particular question, we're almost in November, right? Can I I'm going to do the no quarter November thing.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Like, the first thing that I thought of when you asked me this question was, well, I don't think I can say the first thing. It would be, I'd be unsanctified. But the next was, I just laughed because as a pastor, for a number of years now, the number of times I've had people approach me with what I would call pet theologies is huge. And it's just amazing to me, the number of pet theologies that are out there that are just wild. And so this is a new one. The ethical, the biblical argument for or against ethical hunting is one I've never heard before.
Okay.
And so,
well, I grew up in Toronto, so.
Yeah, and look how well you've turned out. It's a miracle on its own.
Yes, we do believe in providence.
But yeah, absolutely. Miracles still do happen. So, what is, so I had to think about it, and I was trying to think through what in the world, what kind of argument could be used to say that ethically hunting is not permissible for a Christian. And I couldn't think of one. And you know what? In my Bible reading this morning, I was looking diligently. I'm in 1 Chronicles, the first 14 chapters, and I can guarantee you it's not in there. And so the idea, though, is that I've read through the Bible a number of times, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And from cover to cover, numerous times over the years. And it's funny that not once have I seen anything that would that is explicit in not allowing hunting, right? So therefore, you have to look at it from that perspective and go. So anyone making the biblical argument that hunting is unethical from the Bible would have to infer it.
Yes.
And even inferring it, what are the greatest examples of inference that you can possibly come up with? And off the top of my head, I couldn't think of one. And so, but to answer your question, as far as the reasons for ethical hunting, I think is the obvious one is the stewardship argument, right? Mm-hmm. Like we are called by God, going all the way back to the Garden of Eden, that we are to steward what God has given us, mm-hmm. right? And so when you look at hunting as a means of stewardship, what are we doing? We are preventing overpopulation. We are, and I'm not saying that we do this perfectly, because obviously we don't. But we're trying to do what we're called to do. Mm-hmm. So we're preventing overpopulation. We are, and when we are hunting, when we participate in hunting, we are, there's what is that organization? Ducks Unlimited. Do you realize the work that Ducks Unlimited does mm-hmm. in order to maintain habitats for ducks? Like we are maintaining ecosystems. Mm-hmm. We are taking care of the land as God has given us, right? We're not out there abusing it. And the more, hunters are largely responsible for monetary wise and ethically wise. Hunters are some of the most ethically minded people out there because we enjoy hunting. And in order to enjoy hunting, we can't overhunt. We can't abuse our land. We can't wreck God's creation or shoot it out of existence and keep hunting.
Right. Yes.
So we are the ones that respect God's creation. We are the ones that are stewarding it properly. And so I believe that we are fulfilling our mandate going all the way back to Genesis with regards to that. And that would be the biggest thing. Also, I would say for someone like myself, and maybe there's some people out there that can appreciate it, but the more and more we're hearing about, the UN wanting us all to eat crickets, is that legal? From that ethical perspective, should we be eating crickets? But
is that even healthy?
I want to know what's in my food, friend. I want to know what I'm eating. And I know when I shoot a moose, I know what I'm eating.
Yep, it's a moose.
Right? I'm eating a moose, and there's nothing added to it unless I've added to it. And so it's all part of I would say sustenance as well. Mm-hmm. Now I know that there'd be some out there that would make the argument that humanity is no longer needing to hunt in order to sustain ourselves. But that's a rabbit trail you don't want to go down because, like I said, we're all going to be eating tofu soon, right? Because we, like I said, if we're pushing the thou shalt, I know it's not thou shalt not kill, but you know what I'm saying.
Right.
I don't think they're using that argument. It would be such a poor one. But if they're pushing that theology all the way into the corners, then that means that we can't eat anything that was technically alive. And so that essentially brings us all the way back to being vegetarians.
Right. Yeah, we can't even eat bugs if that's the case.
Well,
exactly.
It would destroy vegetarianism as well at the end of the day.
Well, absolutely, because when you look at the amount of animals that are killed in order to maintain the vegetable crops, you're killing them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And the thing too is that
so it's a destructive policy all the way around.
Yeah, it's
all the way around.
Yeah. Well, and the thing
right?
too is that
you can't get around it.
Yeah, if you're a vegetarian, you're eating something that was once alive. right? I mean, an apple, it grew from a blossom on an apple tree. It was once alive, and now you've eaten it. You killed it. Mm-hmm. You didn't shoot it with your rifle, but you killed it.
Right. But that would get into, like, depends on how far down that road you want to go. Like, and there are I'm trying to give these people the benefit of the doubt that they're not one of those. You've seen the videos of the weepy women out in a tree somewhere in the beta males. They're all crying over the forest, right? And so we're not necessarily putting them into that category. Mm-hmm. But even if we're sticking with just animals, mm-hmm. going all the way down, that means that farmers that are tilling their fields, what are they killing when they do that? The only thing that you might be able to grow naturally is mushrooms. And, I don't know about you, but I don't want to eat only mushrooms all my life, mm-hmm. that grow in such a way that you're not killing other things. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not a sustainable argument in any way, shape, or form. I don't understand. Mm-hmm. Like, it has to be, anyone that is really pushing that, has to be, it's what I would call a pet theology, and they need to let it go.
Now there's probably some breaks on this, like mm-hmm. the trophy hunter. Like someone goes on a safari to Africa and
here's the
shoots
thing,
an elephant, and
here's the thing about that elephant that gets shot.
Yeah,
somebody eats it.
Yeah, somebody eats it.
Yeah,
that's true.
Like I know guys that have gone to Africa and shot elephants.
Right.
And the meat was all eaten.
Yeah.
In fact, it was eaten within a couple of days.
Right.
A lot of eaters.
And what's interesting is that when you look at hunting practices, whether they be in North America and we're talking legal hunting practices, right?
Yep.
I think all of us who hunt would abhor those who hunt and waste, right?
Yeah.
We have laws in our land, and it's interesting to ask, how is it that our secular humanistic society still holds to things like ethical hunting, in which any animal that you shoot, including predators, so if I go shoot a bear, legally, I'm required to use as much of that bear as possible.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm
so
legally
that
not
you're
allowed.
Not wasting it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
And so where did that policy come from?
Mm-hmm.
That's a Christian policy.
Yeah.
Right? We are stewarding God's creation as best we can. We're not wasting his creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so even the trophy hunting, and I know a couple of trophy hunting guys that go out, and they're not looking necessarily for meat, but they're looking for the big rack, right?
Right.
But what happens to that meat? He doesn't cut the antlers off. He doesn't cut the head off and leave the body to rot. Mm-hmm. He still legally has to bring that animal back and process as much of it as he can.
Yeah.
And usually for those guys, I know one guy that he goes out for the antlers, but he processes all the meat and then gives it away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. So that animal is still being eaten by somebody.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing that I find most amazing about the hunting culture, especially in North America, is it is, I think, one of the clearest expressions of stewardship of wild creation, right? I mean,
absolutely.
Your agriculture and your industry can be a stewardship of a cultivated garden creation, but in terms of wild creation, that which is still untamed, we are cultivating it, and we are stewarding it.
Right.
One of the things that I've noticed a number of years ago up here in northwestern Alberta, we had a bad winter where a lot of elk and moose and deer were killed off by the wolves because there wasn't sufficient. I think the snowpack was really, really thick, and so especially the young animals couldn't escape the wolves, which could run over the snow.
Right.
And I remember that year because in that year and in the following 2 or 3 years, we had really low moose count up here in the north. So what happened was more people went out and engaged in coyote and wolf hunting, which reduced or at least helped control the wolf and coyote population somewhat so that the moose population could recover, which it's now doing.
Right.
And we've done the same thing with deer.
You can see examples of that. I've got an opposite story of a WMU that my dad used to be a guide and outfitter in, and we have still tried to hunt that area west of Rocky Mountain House, and there's been 3 major wolf packs running in that area for probably 3 decades. It used to be that my dad used to go out way back when there was no hunting on Sunday. And so he would work Monday to Friday. He would hop in his truck and go out. He'd get into his hunting camp Friday night after midnight. He'd wake up in the morning. He would go for a walk, shoot his elk, and then come home. And that was a regular occurrence. He'd do that every year. Mm-hmm. And then as the wolf population got larger and larger and larger, and I can't speak intelligently about the policies at the time, but I'm pretty sure because my dad and his guiding partner had more than one opportunity to shoot wolves. I don't think they were allowed to at the time.
Yeah, at the time they weren't.
No. And so the wolf population went crazy. You can go to this prime honey hole spot today and you won't find an elk. We've spent weeks out there. You won't find an elk. You won't hear an elk. Every hunter you talk to says no elk. And it's funny because you run into the odd conservation officer. I won't give away names. They will openly tell you see a wolf, you shoot it.
Yep.
Because the wolves are killing absolutely everything. There's no ungulates out there.
Yep.
Anymore.
Well,
so that's an example of a policy that went far too way too far in one direction, which has had a detrimental effect on the wildlife population out there.
Yeah. Well, and the thing too is in Alberta, unlike other jurisdictions, you don't need to purchase tags to hunt wolf or coyote. So
not anymore.
Oh. And that policy changed about 20 years ago. I have a friend. Well, we have a friend here who we all know here in Grand Prairie. He's an outfitter, and every spring he has wolf camp. And so he brings in Americans to hunt wolves. And the largest wolf I've weighed with him, I watched him dress it out, but we weighed it before he did, and it was 135 pounds, and it was over 6 foot long, tip to tail.
Wow.
Yeah.
They're massive.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah.
So they're big companies.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these wolves. So these trophy hunters are actually helping us with our conservation.
Yes.
Which is funny because people are like, "Oh, trophy hunting is immoral," and I'm like, "Well, hold the phone a half a minute. Do you actually know what you're talking about?"
Most
don't. Yeah. This is also another thing in Alberta. The grizzly bear is still considered endangered, so you can't hunt.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, which is ridiculous because grizzly bears are everywhere. They're.
In fact, we just had a grizzly bear attack on a hunter south of Cochrane.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, they're wandering up the river valleys closer and closer to Calgary, for crying out loud.
Well, maybe once one gets to Calgary, then they'll change the rules and give us some tags. Yeah. So once city folk are trying to escape grizzly bears in their little Honda Civics, then maybe we can have some hunting tags issued. But
I don't know what they're going to shoot them with no rifles that Trudeau's trying to. Well,
yeah.
Now that he's gone, but the Liberals are still trying to gather.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mark.
But that's a topic for another day, I'm sure.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
So
we can talk about gun rights another day.
The business of hunting and the ethics thereof. We've got laws on the books in Alberta. Then, according to Brad's calculation, that are Christian in their orientation, in that we're stewarding things. That's a good thing to think about.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And then the other thing that I thought about when Nathan talked to me about this topic was, how in the world do you, the idea of saying that hunting isn't ethical. Again, I can't think of the reasons why, but you look at examples in the Bible. I mean, I can think of two off the top of my head. Nimrod, was he not a great hunter? Mm-hmm. Esau was a hunter. Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, both of those characters might not be characterized as being good or righteous people, but it wasn't because they were hunters, right? Like, nowhere was their hunting viewed or depicted as being evil. Mm-hmm. You have God himself killing an animal in order to clothe Adam and Eve after the fall.
Yeah.
The entire sacrificial system is the killing of animals.
Yeah.
And so how in the world do you get a God who considers hunting immoral, if that's the argument? How do you get a God that considers hunting immoral and yet has the entire sacrificial system of the Old Testament?
Yeah.
And then nowhere in the New Testament does it say anything remotely close about redacting that activity, right? Like,
well, in the Old Testament, there was stipulations on what sort of animals you could bring for sacrifice. You could bring an ox or a bull or a goat or a sheep or those kind of things. You could bring those kind of animals. Those were, but then there's a list somewhere about clean animals that you weren't allowed to bring for sacrifice, right. which assumes that people are hunting those things.
Yeah, because they're clean,
right? You know, a deer. Right. You're not allowed to sacrifice a deer on God's altar because it's, even though it's a clean animal, it's not one that's prescribed by Him.
Right.
But people hunted it, obviously.
Right.
Yeah. So. I'll let you go first there, Chris.
No, I was just agreeing. That's why when you told me the topic, I was a little flabbergasted. But I don't know why, because I mean, I find the people and you'll find a pet theology. So this is just a pet theology I've never heard of before. So it was, again, it's fun. You know, let's think through it. But at the same time, I think honestly, anyone that adheres to the idea that the Bible somehow through inference demands that we no longer hunt is missing the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up in Toronto, I grew up around PETA and I grew up around vegetarianism. So this was a discussion that we talked about as a family growing up. And I think one of the main Bible verses that we would go to is Genesis 9, verse 2 and 3. The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth and upon every bird of the heavens, upon everything that creeps on the ground and all the fish of the sea. Into your hand they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. And as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. So it very clearly and expressly refutes vegetarianism.
And then when you get to Acts chapter 10,
right? And the sheep coming down from heaven. Sheep coming down,
and Jesus very clearly says, "Do not call unclean that which I have now made clean."
Yeah, and he's making a broader point about the Gentiles and so forth. But the fact is, there was a bunch of animals on that sheep.
Yes.
Right?
Now, yes, he is making a broader point. But to borrow a phrase, it's a polysymphonic reading that is required of that passage. There are multiple things being said simultaneously. Yeah. And one of them has to do with food. And we can see that in Galatians 2, where Paul takes Peter to task after this vision for going back, reneging on table fellowship with those pork-eating Gentiles. So, and Paul calls it a matter of central gospel importance. So we have that.
Now, speaking of pork-eating Gentiles, should we move on to the next topic?
Let's. What's the next topic, Nathan?
Alberta Teachers Association. I think Brad wants
Pork
to.
eating, speaking of pork eating Gentiles.
Sorry, maybe that was a bad joke.
No, that's I like it.
Well, there's that no quarter November thing coming out, shining, hey?
Yeah, I mean, we're technically recording on All Saints Day, but November is tomorrow.
That's right,
Yeah,
yes.
and by the time this episode goes out, it's definitely November. So,
There you go.
there you go. So, big news item in Alberta, the Alberta teachers, without any prior preparation, i.e. a drained war chest, they decided to just randomly go on strike. And you've been writing about it on Substack a bit. I know I have as well. So, Chris, talk to me. What is the business?
Well, I'm going to premise this whole thing by saying two things can be true at the same time.
Yes.
Right.
It's true, I believe, it's true that public school teachers deserve a raise. I believe that. And at the same time, I also believe that the entire government education system should fall on its face and die.
You and I both. I love that.
Okay?
Uh-huh.
So I believe those two things. When it comes to the ATA, and all cards are on the table, I'm a former public school teacher. I belonged to the ATA for 5-6 years before I saw the light. Actually, what it was that I decided one day that it would better to be run. I would rather run into a burning building than go back into a junior high classroom.
Right. Fair enough.
But, all that being said, there's a number of different things going on here. And I think what happened is that the ATA overplayed their hand and they overplayed it badly. One of the things that the ATA is doing is that they are counting on the ignorance of the general populace. And to be honest, they're even counting on the ignorance of their own membership. Teachers largely don't read things like the funding manual that is available for anyone to read online with regards to how the Alberta government funds the different schools. Mm-hmm. Anyone can read it. Pull it up, go to the government website, you can read it. It's not scintillating reading by any stretch of the imagination. But as someone who was trying to start a school down here in Cochrane, and then I was also part of the administrative team of a private school in Red Deer, it was part of my job as administration to know what the funding manual said. And so when I was a public school teacher, I didn't even know there was such a thing as a funding manual, right? Like it was just not within the scope of my job. So therefore I didn't know. You can be guaranteed, as I had a conversation with a coworker just the other day that was trying to, he's listened to a lot of the ATA nonsense and has bought into the idea that private schools should not be funded with government money. I simply asked him a very simple question. Have you read the funding manual? And of course he said no, and because no one does. Why would they? But the only way you get to understand how Alberta education functions and the funding that goes behind all of these schools is by reading the funding manual, by understanding the Education Act and the laws behind it. And if you don't do that, you're going to be led astray by whoever has the biggest microphone and tells as I said in one of my Substacks, it's about storytelling. Mm-hmm. And the ATA are telling a compelling story, right? They are painting themselves as being the good and virtuous, right? They are standing up for free public education, no such thing. And they are the ones that are fighting for the good. Meanwhile, the bad, of course, is the Alberta government. The government is always bad. And you know what? 9 times out of 10, I would agree with that.
Yes.
But in this case, the government is bad, and especially those private schools are bad. Mm-hmm. And the second ATA did that, so they did two things almost simultaneously. One, they turned down their 12 to 17% raises, which would have made them the highest paid teachers across Canada. And the other thing is that most people don't understand when they see those numbers. So if I remember right, the top end teacher would be paid I want to say $115,000.
Yeah, that's the number I saw.
Yeah, and so people look at that. Your average Joe Blow person who's not not a government worker looks at that number and thinks it's outrageous, right? And
yeah, I've lived for 60 years. I've never made anywhere close to that in a year.
Right, and so you get people, right? The average Joe Blow public person who is already in these hard economic times, who are going to the grocery store and seeing what kind of prices they're dealing with, and they're seeing their heating costs, and they're seeing everything else, their car payments and whatever else, and they're not making anywhere close to that number. And then to see that the Alberta teachers turn down that kind of a raise, automatically you're not going to win any friends by doing that. But then the other thing they did is that the very friends that they had, and I don't know of any teachers or administration in accredited public schools that weren't on side with the teachers getting a raise. They had support across the board. And then the AT shot themselves in the face, really, when they attacked publicly, they attacked charter schools and private schools.
Yeah.
And it's an easy bugaboo because nobody understands how and why those schools are funded. And so the number one thing, there's two great big red flags that I just love to entertain and educate people on, is that number one, when you read the funding manual, private accredited schools receive 70% of curriculum funding. 70%. Now that sounds like a lot, except that's just curriculum funding. Private schools receive zero funding for their building, for their administration, for any of that stuff. They receive zero funding. They only receive 70% of that, which is what's called curriculum funding, if I remember the terminology right. So in the end, when you look at it per capita, per student, the private school receives from the government less than 50%. In some cases, as low as 38% of what any public school, with the funding that follows a public school student. So the other thing that they're talking about is, well, look at all these rich private schools. Do you know how many rich private schools there are?
Zero.
They are few and far between.
Yeah, I got into it with somebody about that on Facebook. They went on about that, and I said, and find me an example of this posh school anywhere in the province. Mm-hmm. You're describing a fiction.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, they do exist, except they're, like I said, they're percentage-wise, there wouldn't be 5% that fit that category that are private accredited. Mm-hmm. Not 5%. The vast, vast, vast majority of private accredited schools are having to do major fundraisers just to make their budgets every year. These are not, most schools are barely struggling to make ends meet. Yeah. And so the idea that these private schools are all rich, is a lie out of the pit of hell. And then the second thing I'd like to ask these people, that why is it that these private accredited schools get paid anything? Why do they do that? And of course they don't have an answer. But the reason why they are paid anything by the government is because they teach the government curriculum. The government is paying private accredited schools money because they teach government curriculum. If they didn't teach government curriculum, they would fall into the category of what's called a registered school. And a registered school is simply a school that the government knows about. Mm-hmm. You know what registered schools receive? Zero. They receive nothing. But at the same time, they can teach what they want. They can hire whoever they want. By the way, private accredited schools can't do that. Private accredited schools must teach or must hire certified teachers. Now, they're not part of the ATA, but they are certified teachers. Registered schools don't have to do that. But those registered schools, by the way, last I heard there was one in Lacombe, and I think that one went private accredited. So I'm not even sure that there are any, at this point, I don't think there's any registered schools in Alberta. Maybe there's one, I'm just not aware of them. But there's next to nothing, because the amount of money needed to run a registered school while receiving absolutely zero funding is way outside what most people can afford.
Right.
So they just don't happen.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, my third argument is that I like to bring up to people is, all those people that send their kids to private schools, private accredited schools. Yeah. Not only are they paying for the government schools through their taxes, but then they're also having to pay tuition to cover their own. And you want to take away even what they pay in taxes. So how is that fair? All of these social brilliant people that like to espouse that, we're taking money out of the mouths of the poor people in government schools. Do they not realize that those that can afford private schools, those that can afford going to those rich schools, the rich always have options. The rich always have options. By trying to take away private school funding, you know who they're hurting? They're hurting poor people. Because the poor people that are working 3 jobs in order to send their kids to a private school that aligns with their worldview and their values, they're no longer going to be able to afford those super expensive schools. Mm-hmm. And so you are actually hurting the very people that you're saying you're helping. It's just a big shell game, and the ATA are trying to get all of the money. That's what this is about. This is a power move, and they showed their hand. They are going after private schools. Yep. And the second you do that in this province, you're in trouble, because you want to see motivated people. You want to see people lose their minds. Try to take away their choice in education. Yeah. The ATA just picked a fight that they can't win, and they shot themselves right in the face, because they actually had the support of private schools. They had the support of private schools. And then they decided that, no, private schools are the problem.
Yep.
It's insane.
And the other thing, too, is that this attack on the private schools really is just a disguised attack on homeschoolers. Because they really desperately want the funding money that they are losing because of homeschoolers that are not in the public system. Because in Alberta, the average rural student costs the taxpayer $13,500 a year, and the average urban student costs $10,500 a year, and the average homeschooler.
Those numbers sound low.
They do, but those are the numbers that Danielle Smith gave at the town hall when she came to Grand Prairie.
Okay.
But they do sound low, but that's... There might be ancillary costs that aren't calculated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But in the direct calculated costs, these are the numbers that she gave. Now, the average homeschool child, if the child is registered, so that would be like through Wisdom Homeschool Co-op or something like that. If
Wisdom's public.
Yeah. If they're registered through something like that, then they can receive $850 a year per student, up to that.
Right.
Now, the thing is, when you think about that, a homeschool kid in some city like Edmonton or Red Deer, Grand Prairie, is saving the Alberta taxpayer $9,000 a year. Now, if you live in a rural area, like outside of Beaver Lodge, you're now saving the Alberta taxpayer $12,000 a year. But the problem is that, of course, if the funding's going through to homeschoolers, through these registered entities to homeschoolers, it's not going, to the public system.
Right. The public system sees that the homeschool kid he's not saving money for the province as far as they're concerned. They're losing out on the $12,000 they might get if that kid were in the school. Mm. It's a greed thing.
Yes.
Okay, so with that, tell me, let's say the ATA waves their wand and receives everything they're looking for, okay? What is the number one argument that they've been trying to make publicly about what their job conditions?
Yes, classroom sizes.
Yeah.
Right. They're making the argument that classroom sizes are too big. Okay.
Right.
So they wave their magic wand, and as of tomorrow, all the homeschoolers and all the private schools are illegal.
And they're added to the system.
Right. And so now you've got 50,000 students that are going into these. Tell me, where are they going?
Yeah. Like where? Physically.
Where are they going? And also the idea that they're going to hire another 3,000 teachers. I don't know if anyone's aware, but ask anyone who owns a business or is in the business of hiring people. Good luck finding people.
Yep.
Right? Like, I don't even know where they're finding these 3,000 teachers that they're talking about wanting to hire.
Right. Well, it's like
where are they coming from?
It's like when Trudeau promised to hire 1,000 RCMP officers.
Yeah.
Like where are you getting this mythical number from? The another funny.
Don't even get me started on the RCMP. They I know because I know people that have applied to the RCMP. They've got their RCMP is hiring. Let's just say I know people that made it all the way through the application process, only to be denied for no known reason. And talking to an insider from the RCMP, there's a certain kind of person they're looking for. So even in the desperation of the RCMP shortage that we have, they are still being extremely picky about, let's call it the DEI garbage that needs to be sent into the pit of hell.
It needs to
that is affecting who they're it's affecting who they're hiring.
Yeah, they're not going to take an evangelical Christian.
Yeah, no. Why would you want an ethical Christian working in that job?
They certainly don't.
I can think of many reasons why a rightly ordered society would want that, but yeah.
Yeah, that describes Alberta right now, a rightly ordered society.
Yeah. Well, the classroom size thing is an interesting red herring as well. On another front, because there was a press conference with our premier recently, and she addressed this point. And she said something to the effect of, if you look at the numbers, the current ratio in Alberta is one teacher for every 21 students. And so then by implication, there are a number of these teachers that aren't teaching in classrooms, and which is driving classroom sizes up, which I found very interesting. But then there is also the immigration problem where the feds have been driving.
That's not a small thing either. That's a big thing.
Mass immigration.
Yeah. Well, it's about 1 million people per year right now. And about 90% of them are being funneled into Albertan cities to intentionally cause these kinds of problems. So I want to know, and I can't prove this, I'm just supposing, I want to know if the ATA went on strike because they were told to by somebody in Ottawa. That's what I want to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw that you kind of were making that argument on one of your Substacks, and it's an interesting. I mean, we live in clown world, and as the saying goes, today's conspiracy is fact a week from now.
Yep.
So, and there's a whole lot of players that are in bed with one another that we're not really knowing who all the players are. But I don't know. I still tend to hold to the old adage that if there's an argument between malice and incompetence, 99 times out of 100, it's incompetence.
Yeah.
And we've all seen how the most of the governments across Canada operate, and incompetence is very, very high on that list. So,
as a modus operandi,
right?
Yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
yeah. So, and I forget which one. It might have been Nathan, but you know what? I'm a big proponent of the fact that we get the government we deserve.
Yes.
You know, when we expect until the population expects better of their politicians, they're going to get exactly what they're willing to put up with. And it's amazing to me what our society is willing to put up with. I still can't get over the fact that one of our ministers from the Trudeau government lost, I'll put it that way, somehow lost $125 billion in infrastructure money, has no idea where it went, and yet didn't lose your job.
Yeah.
Like no one's in jail.
Yeah, yeah.
I've never seen that kind of money, let alone lose that kind of money.
Right. But that's the sort of thing that people are willing to put up with.
Yeah.
That's the kind of corruption that is going on nationally and no doubt provincially and even municipally that goes on, and nobody cares. Like, that's the most frustrating part, is that even when it makes the news makes the headlines, that there's no outrage, right? That's something in me I can't wrap my head around. How far down the rabbit hole have we gone as a society where our government can lose $125 billion and everyone just shrugs?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it just makes no sense.
Unprincipled men vote in unprincipled politicians.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Right? We get the government we deserve.
Yeah. Yeah. Any more thoughts on this ATA topic, or have we?
There would be endless conversation that we could track out.
Yeah.
Over this. The net result that I saw recently is that when Danielle Smith's government legislated through the notwithstanding clause that the teachers return to work, that the unions, the big unions, all have their hair on fire and are vowing to bring down the Alberta government. That sounded very, very suspiciously like seditious talk to me. But that was
it's coming from a leftist,
response.
So it's okay.
Yeah, leftists can get away with sedition.
Yeah, they could do that, but no one else can. And you know what? I'm all for it. I hope they all go on strike.
Yeah.
And so society can look and see how useless most of them are, and then maybe we could privatize most of it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be grand. Another thought about the taxation for the education. I had this conversation with a coworker of mine whose girlfriend is a teacher, and I pointed out the idea that if education isn't paid for out of the public purse, then we don't have to be taxed for it. And he looked at me and he's like, "That's a marvelous idea." And I thought, I'm like, "Oh man, we're winning so many friends." You know, there's something about there's no proverb about never interrupt your enemy while they're making a mistake. And the ATA is doing this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's just I think I dropped it yesterday, but Lucas Truck did the same thing with his petition.
Yes.
Just brilliant.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
his intention was, or his supposed intention at least, was to galvanize support for staying with Canada no matter what. And lo and behold.
Yeah. Thank you. You're right. Like, it's just unbelievable.
He's doing
it's
all the
lovely
work for
thing.
us.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I do enjoy it. I mean, the Proverbs also speak about, a man digging a pit and falling into it himself.
Yeah, the Psalms too.
And the Psalms speak of this routinely. There's something self-reflectively destructive in foolishness.
When you don't pursue righteousness, that's what happens, right?
Well, and it's something interesting. Like when God is on the side on your side, and when God is hearing the cries of His church, the enemies of His church just start doing stupid things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's almost like there's a blindness that's cast over them, so that they don't see the folly of their own actions.
Yeah, it's like the men of Sodom groping all night for the door. Yeah. I mean, like, how hard is it to find a door on a building? I mean,
Even if you're blind.
Yeah, it's got 4 corners. Like, keep feeling.
If you're blind, you can't.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, I just, and they groped all night.
Yeah. Where's the door? Where's the door?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's good talking about you. About these things with you.
Yeah.
Jamie might have.
No, I was just talking about you.
Okay,
I was just going to get after you for that.
Anyway, could you tell us a little bit about the work that you're doing down in Cochrane? We've got a bunch of people in our church who haven't met you yet, but they really should, and we want people to know more about you and what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we planted 4 years ago. We're a 4-year-old church, so we're just coming out of the toddler phase, and we're trying to get things figured out. We are officially over the 50-member mark, which is great.
Excellent.
As you guys know, the CREC is blowing up in the U.S., and I don't think Canada is quite there yet, but I do see some steady growth and more interest in the CREC even here. And so, we've got a number of tire kickers coming. We've got, in fact, I just talked to a young man yesterday about. He grew up in the church, played an instrument in the worship of the church, and when I talked to him yesterday about how's church going, he admitted that he hasn't been going lately. And so, I asked him why, and he couldn't really articulate why, other than he just was not getting anything out of going to church. Mm-hmm. And so he is an illustration of I think what's going on across Canada, maybe even North America, maybe the West, period, is the number of disenfranchised young men that might not be able to articulate what's wrong, but they know something is wrong in the evangelical church, and that they're hungry to go, but they have nowhere to go.
Yeah. And
so the CREC, I believe, is a gateway to getting young men back in the church. And in fact, my own Substack, which I've started, I've actually even fired up my old YouTube page that was
nice.
Under CC Michael. It was All Things Alberta. It was more politics a number of years ago, but I've since started writing under a new blog called Biblical Lenses, basically looking at what's going on in Alberta specifically, and writing about trying to give a biblical justification or an apologetic for the certain things that we see in and around the West, and especially Alberta. And this is the sort of thing, like, I've got a number of posts ready to go for November, and they're all in the no quarter November style, meaning there's a bit of a serrated edge to them, that speaks specifically to young men. I'm targeting young men specifically about what it is that's going on and what they need to do about it. And so we've got that going on. What else can I tell you? We've got, we're going to be hosting, as you guys know, we're hosting the first Canadian Presbyterian meeting in March.
Yes.
So we are getting geared up for that. And then next October, we are also getting ready for our biannual, I think that's the right way of putting it, biannual God Keep Our Land conference. And so we're hosting that again in next October 2026. So yeah, we've got a lot going on down here.
Yeah, that's excellent.
That's great.
We're really glad for where you guys are placed. I mean, because it's not that hard to fly into Calgary.
Yeah, exactly.
For people from all over the place, like for the Canadian Presbytery, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. You're right in the right spot.
Yeah, that's one of the cheaper places to fly into.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So.
Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to attend the God Keep Our Land conference, where should they go to find registration information?
Well, that registration information isn't out yet. We are, it's funny because we are in the middle of a church move. We are moving locations from our current location is at All Saints Anglican Church. We rent their facility in the afternoons. Last year, we did our conference here at the facility, but we are moving locations, and until we've nailed down those the location, which might even happen today, until we nail down that location, we're not registering yet, but that will be coming out soon. So just keep an eye on our website.
Right.
What is our website? Yeah, I'm not even sure what our website is.
I'll put links in the show notes for your website as well as your Substack.
Church.
Yeah.
Covenant Presbyterian CA.wordpress.com.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we'll get that in the show notes.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Okay. If you folks out there are looking for some good reading, some incisive looks at the world, you need to start reading Chris's stuff. Mm-hmm. He's been
writing bangers all month.
Yeah, he's been hitting home runs all month, and so that's it's really worth.
Pardon?
I said that's what happens when I get fired up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Find him on Substack. Do you have a particular name on Substack?
Biblical Lenses.
Biblical Lenses is your Substack place.
Well, let me look. Hold on, I'll pull it up.
Again, I'll take it in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. If you punch in Biblical Lenses or my name, Chris Cousine, it should come up.
Right. Your Chris Cousin, like your cousin, like your mom's sister's kid. Cousin with an E on the end.
You got to add an E. Yeah. We look French.
Yeah, that's very Canadian. The E.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to call you a Frenchie.
Yeah, don't do that.
Chris Cousine.
Cousine.
I don't wave white flags.
Oh, that's funny. Anyway.
All right. Well, Chris, it's been a delight to have this conversation with you. We are happy to talk to you about some of these things. You know, it seems like a bizarre question that we asked you, but clearly it's on some people's minds because they request it, right? Let's figure out if there's some kind of a case to be made for why is it that we do this thing that we've been doing all these years. Well, let's make it. I mean, that's a useful thing for people to understand, to be able to look to the scriptures and discern what it is that we ought to be doing and what we ought to not be doing. So anyways, thanks very much for this conversation.
You're most welcome, gents.
All right.
Have a good day.
You betcha. Take care, guys.
Yeah, bye.
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 We are the Chinook Podcast. It's been a delight to have this conversation with Chris Cousine. He's a really good fellow to talk to and to read up on. Do follow up on the show notes for this and look him up. If you haven't heard from him or if you haven't read any of his stuff, he's really worth reading. We are very much interested in seeing the Lord move in Western Canada. We'd like for his spirit to make like the Chinook that he sends and to move through the frozen wilderness of Alberta and to liven up a whole lot of people. That's our hope. That's our desire. If you are in the Grand Prairie area and you don't have any place to worship, come and see us at Christ Covenant Church. We'd be happy to talk to you. We'd be happy to see you. The Lord is definitely moving these days, and there's interesting things that are going on. Do come to Christ Covenant Church. We'd be delighted to host you. So blessings to you all. It's been a delight to have this conversation.
Have a good day.